Greetings. Welcome. Namaste. Um, I'm not exactly sure why I'm already in chair pose. I don't know what that's all about, or this sort of like cheerleader stance. I keep doing it. I don't know. This whole being on a screen, seeing myself a lot, I'm still really bad at it. So, anyways, I'm going to sit for just a second and welcome you, right? If you are hanging out with me right now, you're here for another lunch break yoga session. These classes are approximately 30 minutes. Some of them cover specific muscle groups, areas, points in the body. Some have a little theme about them. Some kind of focus, but kind of are all about one yoga posture. This one is one of a few that's just a yoga flow. It's a super short vinyasa flow. It's not really focusing on one part of the body or area in particular. In fact, I'd say it's a nice, short, whole body sort of flow. So you'll get a little bit of lengthening, a little bit of strengthening, all about yourself. Okay. As usual, I tell folks have on hand, as far as props and support goes, anything that makes you feel safe and comfortable that you tend to use whenever you practice. I would say if you really needed anything today, you might need a blanket, maybe a couple blocks. I keep mine on hand almost always, just in case, right? Um, Better to overplan as far as that goes. I'm trying to think if there's anything else you need. I don't think so. I'm happy you're taking this time for yourself. I hope you do your best, right? Do your best for the next, like I said, 30, to be here with yourself, right? Um, in yourself, about yourself, really tuned in to the very best of your ability. You're worth it, okay? And it's good for you. Maybe start your practice if you're by yourself, okay? Or if you just live with somebody really cool and you can do it. Uh, Give yourself some props for showing up. You know, you can just be like, I did it. Or, yeah, I showed up. Or you can just kind of silently bow to yourself. Start your practice that way with a little thank you to you. Okay. So I'm going to go to my mat now. How about it? We're going to start in standing. Okay. Sorry for pointing. We're going to start in standing, closer to the front of the mat. We're going to find our feet. So this sometimes means moving them, wiggling them. Sometimes kind of lifting an ankle or a foot and circling the ankle, doing it with the other, maybe some creaking and popping, I don't know. Maybe you lean into the knife edge of one, the other, you lift out of the heels. Hey, calves. But I really need to find a way, right, to locate my feet so I can start rooting through my feet and I can really find my whole body in space. Once you're able to find footing, you want to go ahead and that same sort of awareness, you want to sort of guide it all the way up through the top of your head. If it's available, close the eyes down, pull the belly in just a little, relax the shoulders away from the earlobes, and just one breath. I want you to locate, follow along with one breath cycle. Eyes are open, knees are soft. Next time you inhale, sweep the arms out like wings, reach for the ceiling, keep the arms lifted. If it's available, I want you to touch those palms overhead, okay? Look up to the thumbs, and when you're ready, spin to the right, release the left arm in front and the right arm behind you, drawing that right shoulder back, left shoulder forward, but keeping the feet planted nice and firmly and the hips facing forward. Squeeze a little at the seat, press through the feet a little, rotate forward again, arms up. Palms, I touch them overhead, I look to the thumbs, sneaking in just a little back bend. And I'm going to keep my navel in. I press through the feet really, really big time through the bottoms of the toes, and I spin to the left. Right arms in front, left arms behind me. I make sure my neck feels safe. Maybe I look back. Hey guys, maybe I look back over that shoulder, maybe not. Rotate forward, arms up again. One more time where you touch, right? Palms overhead. Maybe you really, really press the palms into each other. Maybe you lean back a little more, right? You'd have to squeeze the tush a little. And then bending the knees, I lean forward, I sweep arms out, and I find my first Uttanasana, forward fold and standing. So anything that would feel good here as far as a standing forward fold goes. Maybe a little bit of pedaling at the legs or swing at the hips. Maybe one of those blocks is necessary to catch the hands, right? You can kind of let that head spill down a little heavier here. Maybe you need to shake it out at the head, right? Anything that makes you go, oh, okay, I'm present in this stretch. Maybe able to kind of describe the stretch a little bit to yourself. And I can definitely 100% here, I can breathe. On purpose now, I want to keep my tush lifted, leaning towards my toesies, but not losing my heels. I'm going to bend generously into my left knee. I'm going to make sure these left fingertips stay rooted in front of this left foot, and I'm going to sweep the right arm up for a little twist here, or a big twist. Maybe I look up towards the lifted hand. Exhale, let it go. And as you do, pedal, pedal, drop the weight of the head again. Same deal, opposite side. I'm going to bend deeply into this right knee. I'm going to root down through right fingers in front of right toes, lengthening a little extra through the left leg. I sweep the left arm up, reaching up through those fingertips, right? And my gaze is up towards that left thumb. Yours can even be lowered down to the mat. What feels safest? Where do you feel, right, the most stability? And let it go. Once again, I just kind of shake it out at the head. Leaning forward, I'm going to lift halfway here. So I feel a little extra opening at my low back, lengthening through the backs of my legs. I come to fold again, but this time fingers or hands find the mat or blocks, and I extend my right leg back in space. From here, I release the right knee, but I keep the right toes tucked. I sweep my arms up, up, up. So I'm in sort of this Anjane pose. I'm going to squeeze the inner thighs in, and I just take a moment and I feel all these stretches. Then hands, right? As I release the torso forward, the head forward, hands find support again. I simply lift out of the right knee. I find that lengthening. I notice that stretch. And I step that back foot up to meet the front. Hips are lifted again, head lowers towards the tops of the feet. I bend super deeply to where I'm kind of smooshing my belly into my thighs. And on an inhale, I sweep the arms out and I lift, lengthen, reach back for the sky. Palms can touch overhead or not. I pull prayer hands to the heart and root down. I'm back in mountain. Take a moment. Check your footing. My feet are nice and parallel to each other. Broadening at the chest or opening the heart. A little different as far as how we start this next side. Knees stay soft. I'm going to sweep arms out like wings and I'm going to reach them back for the sky. But this time I want to clasp all the fingers except the pointer fingers overhead, okay? I'm going to squeeze my tush. And again, I'm going to push the belly or the pelvis forward. I'm going to lean back and I'm in that wonderful standing back bend. I press through my feet, I squeeze my seat, I release these arms, and then I clasp the hands behind my back, bending a little bit deeper into the knees. I'm going to pull these hands away from me, kind of bringing the shoulder blades together. And here on an exhale, I hinge at the hips and I fold here. So I'm in a nice bind in my fold. My head is still just dropping down towards my feet. I'm still breathing. If I need to, I shake it out at the head.
I lean towards my toesies again, but this time I release the bind, arms drop. I lift halfway for just a second. And as I go to melt and fold again, this time that left leg extends back in space. Again, I drop onto the knee. If I needed a blanket for support, well, it's already there because I'll set myself up. Squeeze inner thighs in, some of that pelvic floor engagement. Tuck in the tail a little, whatever that means. Hands come here. If it's accessible, right, arms are up. Now, it doesn't need to be. You can still get quite a few stretches. You can still really get deep into this posture without arms lengthening upward. You decide what works. And my hands come to prayer on purpose at the chest. I lean forward, tapping down at the fingers. Those left toes are already lifted. So I lift that leg, and it's like I'm really just going to lunge at somebody, right? And I'm just going to bring that back foot up to meet the right foot, spilling the head down. I inhale, half lift again, right? Oh, there's probably too much extension on my part. Most of the time when you do this, right, you want the seat lifted. You want the shoulders back, but you also want sort of the guts pulled up. One good breath cycle. And then I come to melt, but here I'm going to step or hop back into my first straight arm plank. So once you're there, make sure you're there, right? If it doesn't work, maybe you drop down to the forearms. Maybe you need to release to prone and kind of regroup. Couple breaths. I'm going to kind of puff my shoulders up a little. I'm making sure that I'm really rooted down through the fingers. For you, you keep your gaze down, right, between the index fingers. Nice and strong, long, steady. Now my fingers don't change. They stay kind of gripping down at the mat. But I release my left knee. I sweep my left foot off the left side. I come closer, right, to the left side as I come onto the inside of the right foot. And I'm going to reach up through this right arm, all the while careful that I'm not collapsing into this left shoulder. Maybe I look up, right? I find those lifted fingers. Maybe I lift the right leg, flexing into that right ankle. And I'm in sort of this variation on Ardha Chandrasana, or your half moon, right? It's like if somebody had you do that half moon, right, on a knee, not the foot. One more big breath. If that leg is lifted, I release it down. But before I come back in a straight arm plank, I'm going to reach that right arm overhead. So I'm pressing through the sole of the right foot and really lengthening and stretching that arm overhead. Then I kind of take this big semicircle sweep, and my right hand finds the mat again. I come back into my straight arm plank. Couple breaths. All right, release that right knee. Oh, kick that right foot off the right side. All the weight sort of leans to the right. I kind of like press through the right hand, right? As I grip through those fingers, I'm going to open up and lengthen all the way through the fingertips on the left hand. Now, again, if I want, I can lift, right? I can lift this left leg. But I want to kind of make sure that if this is what I'm doing, one, I feel stable, okay? My hips for the most part are stacked. Shoulders for the most part are stacked. And I don't feel any pain in the grounded hand or that right shoulder. Couple more breath cycles. Now again, if that left leg is lifted, drop back to the inside of that left foot and reach your left arm overhead. Big stretch. Careful with the neck. And then a big old semicircle sweep. Left hand finds the mat. I'm back in that plank. I catch a breath. Let's lift the hips and come into our first downward facing dog. whole sweet release. That does not mean that I feel like I'm taking a serious chill pill here. I'm still working stuff, right? My fingers are still spread, hands firm, pads of the fingers real grippy, seats reaching up, chest is reaching back towards my thighs. If I needed to, right, you could bend the legs, you can sway, pedal. My heels will never touch down, and that's okay. Couple more breaths. Now release the knees, come to all fours, step your hands in, and go ahead, eyes opened or closed, and regroup in just a little cat-cow. So here's where if I'm like, I don't even need that cat-cow, I need to wring my wrists out. Okay, maybe you come to fists and you do your cat-cow here. Maybe you drop to the forearms. You come to forearm table and take your cat-cow there. I'm going to play around and I'm going to spread my fingers, right? So my fingers are facing forward, just a run-of-the-mill table pose. But I'm going to turn the fingers all the way around, rotating them in. So now my fingers are facing, they're matching me. Here's where I take my cat-cow, all the while pressing down through the pads of the fingers. I feel like I've said that a million times already. Oh, this can be a lot on the wrists. Be safe. I'm going to take just a few. Yes, I'm mindful of my hands, wrists, and knees, but I'm really kind of tuning into sensation around the spine. It's the back body for me. I'm going to rotate those fingers back. I'm going to take my knees wide, big toes to touch. Now, I'm not sinking into a what I would call committed child's pose, although you are welcome to. I'm simply dropping to the elbows, letting the pelvis drop. And I'm using this as sort of a little break point to reset. I know I'm going to be bearing weight down on my hands again. I know that there's more vinyasa ahead of me. So I want to make sure, once again, I am fully here. All the while, my hands get this little rest. All right, meet me back in downward facing dog. Hands, I extend them forward, right? I lift, tuck toes, and the hips go up. Relocating your breath here, right? Make sure you're like, oh, okay, that's a whole breath. Make sure that your pants aren't falling down, okay? Make sure that your shirt isn't falling over your head. All these important things. Next time you inhale, I'm going to step my left foot a little closer to the center of the mat at the back there, and I'm going to reach my right arm up, three-legged dog. All the while, the rest of my body is downward facing, right? So I haven't changed anything here except that right leg. And I'm careful not to fire hydrant it either. I'm going to look towards my thumbs. I'm going to safely find just a little bit of arch, and I'm going to step that right leg forward, come into my supported low lunge so that I can sweep the arms up as I squeeze the inner thighs in and come up to, at this point, just a supported high crescent. Once I've established footing, legs, core, then I can come hands at the heart, or I can reach the arms up. Breathe. Lower down. As you do, plant that left hand inside of the right, pull the right butt cheek in, pressing through the right foot, reach the right arm up, coming into this mild twist. Firming through my left hand, I'm going to get real fancy and step back into a side plank. So my right foot steps back. There's some stacking, but also some staggering. I catch a breath. And then I release into straight arm plank, and I take a full vinyasa. You can just come into that downward facing dog. 'Tis your practice, 'tis your call. Back in a downward facing dog. Catching my breath. All right, when you're ready, I scooch my right foot in just a little, so it's kind of at the center back there. Hands are firm, hips are high. I lift my left leg. So three-legged dog with the left leg lengthening back and up. Catch a breath or two. I'm here in this pose. Now I bring my gaze forward slightly. I arch the back just a little. I bend this left leg like I want to bring it knee to nose, but I just want to step that leg forward. Taking a moment here. I might even scooch that back foot up, squeezing inner thighs in. Torso lifts, 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 lengthens up, even leans back a little. Now you might take hands to the hips here, right? More supported. Careful with that left hip. Hands can come to the heart or the arms can extend up. So I really am doing my best to, like I said, keep my left hip drawn in, but also to kind of evenly distribute the weight forward and back. Also trying not to lock my right knee, right? I'm doing my best to, keep all my bits together, stacked safely, mindfully, so that I can kind of, again, be here best I can. I lean forward, keeping my belly button in. I plant that right hand inside the left foot. I pull my left hip in, and I reach my left arm up, up, up. You can see it from another side here too. Now, if you ever need to drop that right knee and step back into a supported side plank, cool. I'm going to lean into that right hand. I'm going to step my left leg back, squeeze my tush, stacking hips and shoulders, left arm up. Breathe. Safely release plank. I take a vinyasa. I lower down, chaturanga. I release, squeeze my seat, point my toes, open the heart. Now I'm going to tuck the toes, lift the hips again. I'm in my sort of upside down V. Hips, right? Not only do I lift them, but I kind of drive them back a little too. Again, if you need some pedaling, swaying, whatever, stay connected to the breath. Stay present in your body. All right, once again, left foot steps closer to the center at the back of my mat. I'm going to lift my right leg. I'm going to draw it forward, plant. Now, at this point, I'm in a supported low lunge, okay? I want you to think about this one. Actually, you stay put where you are. I'm going to come on this side just so you can kind of see it this way. I told you I'd play around, right, in the whole mat today. So here we go. From here, I start lifting like I want that high crescent, and I do, kind of. Okay, here I am, but it's just so I can lean forward, right? Press through the right foot and lift my left leg up. So here I'm in my one-legged mountain, okay? Now, if this is enough, well, stay put, breathe, strengthen, right? Check hips, ground. If you feel like, yeah, this is okay, what next? Well, hug your left knee in towards your chest, bringing your face down towards that knee. Come back into one-legged mountain. Broaden across the chest. Take your right hand to the outside of the left knee and reach your left arm back. So you're in your one-legged mountain, but you're also in this twist. Breathe. I'll say it a million more times, I'm sure. Come forward, steady, steady. If you need to, soften that right knee and then come into your Vrksasana, your tree pose. So I'm going to cheat and turn to you. Oh, look what I'm doing. Using the wall. Uh-oh. So I'm still at the front of the mat. Right foot is still rooted. Okay, hips are still like little headlights facing forward. You choose, right? What do you want to do with your hands? What do you maybe want your tree to look like? What do you want your tree to feel like? Big breath. Detach. Right leg might be yelling at you. Remind it, right leg, everything's temporary. One-legged mountain. When you're ready, exhale, fold. Staying in your fold. right? You're gonna either step back to downward facing dog, or you're gonna lift halfway, hands down, and step or hop back into your full vinyasa. Plank, lower, untuck the toes, lift, lengthen, squeeze, seat, open heart. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Now I'm in down dog. Couple more breaths. All right, I step my right foot in. Okay, when you're ready, left leg lifts. Okay, I'm in my three-legged dog. And now I'm gonna exhale. Bring this leg forward. I start here. I make sure that I've got my bearings about me. Maybe I need to scooch that back foot up, keeping the left hip drawn in, inner thighs still kind of squeezing together. Remember, at this point, I'm not super concerned about alignment being perfect. I really never am, between you and me, as long as I'm safe, right? But I lift enough to go, oh, she's going to want me to scoop that back leg up for one-legged mountain. And she is. I am. So here I go. I lean, and I lift that left leg. Now this might be it for your practice today. You might even kind of take hands to the hips. If you're like me and you got your little wall prop, you might be like, I got this, right? If you want to play, you're kind of taking a crunch and standing. So you're going to draw that right knee into the chest, face for the knee. You're going to release, restacking everything right appropriately. Hips are like headlights. My left hand comes to the outside of my right leg. And I'm going to sweep the right arm back. It's kind of like I'm trying to stay in my one-legged mountain. I'm using the opposite arm to keep up my leg, but I'm trying to shake hands with somebody behind me for some crazy reason. Rotate the torso forward, regroup for a moment, and grow your last tree of your practice today. Remember, one tree might look one way, other side might look completely different. It's okay. Last breath here. My hands come to the heart as I detach. Arms then reach back for the ceiling. So on an exhalation, it's Uttanasana. I sweep, I fold, and I'm taking one final vinyasa. So I inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, hands down. And again, step or hop. Come on down. Lift, open. Meet me in your Adho Mukha Shavasana, downward facing dog. Here I've got an extra moment to kind of check, right, all the body parts here. Like, okay, my hands, fingers are still spread, right? Pointer fingers are still parallel to each other. Hips are still lifted and driven back slightly, right? My shoulders aren't in my ears or resting on my ears completely. Legs feel safe. Breath is moving freely. And then I'm going to step my feet apart from each other big time. Now, not so much that they come off of the sides of the mat and you get kind of wibbly wobbly, right? My hips stay lifted, but I'm going to walk my hands back, right? Almost like I want to fold. As soon as I'm almost in a fold stance, I turn these toes out and I'm going to lower and squat down to my malasana. So my tail really reaches towards the floor. My heart reaches up high for the sky. And I just kind of go, hey, breath, where'd you go? Hey, this feels like a stretch. Am I safe? Am I present? Always kind of checking in, if it's a slower flow like this, to ask myself that question, like, are you completely here? Did you have to shut down or dissociate somewhere to be in this pose? If so, you're not here, you're not doing yoga. So always, right, once you've established, that's not working, I can't be here for this, change something. Maybe you kind of lean side to side, right? Maybe you would put a block into your tushy, right? Maybe you would just drop down, come to your back, grab for the arches of the ankles and come into your happy baby. Few more breaths. I'm envisioning this really long spine, right? On exhales, the tail drops down low, right? But on an inhale, it's like the heart opens, the crown even opens as I reach up high. Now I'm going to drop these fingertips down, lean forward, and come down into my last little round of cat-cow. So knees are under the hips. Right? My wrists are, for the most part, they're going to be under my shoulders. Eyes opened or closed. I like to close my eyes. This way, once again, I'm tapping into, tuning into sensation. It's not about the shape of the thing. It's not about, I don't know, any sort of prescribed way of, I should be breathing this way. Well, no, I'm arching. Why am I not exhaling? I'm not doing it right. No, I feel my breath flowing through my body here. I can feel my heart, right? I can feel a little bit of sweat by the armpits, but a breeze against the tip of my nose. This is working. I'm here. Last full round. And then step the knees forward. If it's available, sit back to the ankles, coming into almost like a thunderbolt, or you might even take a block and put it under the tush for a supported hero. Relax the shoulders down. You know what? Maybe even shrug them a little. Once again, spine, right? As you inhale, imagine it gets longer. Check in. Slowing down. I lean to one side. As I do, I sweep the feet to the other side. I bring the legs in front and I kind of pedal them a little. Maybe even windshield wiper them a little. Squeak, squeak. I find just a super brief Baddha Konasana, and that's kind of your butterfly, but with some latching on, right? So I take my hands either to the big toes, or I open up the arches insides of the soles of the feet, kind of like a little book. I sit up tall, find that lengthening, one breath. And then I come to my Sukhasana, cross-legged. Once I've plugged down through the sits bones, released my knees to gravity, or found any support I might need, right? My chest lifts. I'm going to take my arms out like wings, reach them up. And I'm going to spin to the right, drop this left hand towards the right knee, right hand behind the tail. I press through the fingers on the right hand. I sit up taller. Sometimes I take my gaze kind of back towards that right shoulder. Not always, right? I'm going to stay listening to what my neck needs. Slight squeeze at the low belly, maintaining that connection, sits bones to the mat. I rotate the torso forward. I bring hands to prayer for a moment, and then I sweep arms out like wings. I reach, reach, reach. And then one last twisting the torso to the left. Left hand's behind the behind, right? You can bring, as you saw, it feels better sometimes for me to bring that right hand to the mat or in front of me, but you can bring it sort of to the outside of that left knee, and you can broaden. Find a spin that feels good. I feel safe at the low back. Breath can still flow freely through my body here. And inhale, one last upward salute. Grow your wings, lift, lengthen, look up. Prayer hands overhead, pull prayer hands down to the heart. So with the lunge flows, I would say it's a good split as far as how many include a Shavasana at the end.
and some don't. This is one where we don't have a guided Shavasana. I end here with you and seal the practice, sans a Shavasana. But I encourage you, if you have time, 2 minutes even, right? 2 minutes even, a little bit of rest and integration, okay? If you can take longer than that, right, go for it. But I'm going to seal this lunge practice with you by finding hands in that prayer gesture, thumbs in close, heart lifted, face falling for fingers. Hey, it's back to that whole you recognizing that you took some time for yourself. So just notice that in this moment. So I took 30 minutes for myself? Yeah. Note that. Thank yourself for doing that. It is a huge deal. Maybe even find a little smile and sweeten the deal there. One last big breath. Inhale. Let it all go.